There she is. She's a holdout. She's still deciding whether or not to go through that gate. But aren't we all that way? Don't we all just have those days sometimes where, you roll out of bed and you're just like, oh, no, not again. Pull the covers over your head if you can. Shut the alarm off. Catch that extra 5-10 minutes. How y'all doing? Thank you for being here with me tonight. As you well know, it's my birthday tonight. And I thought, what do we do? I want to do something different. Um, I'd like to look back. You know how much we enjoy that, doing that on this channel. You guys in the chat, just gatekeepers, you guys love it because you just sink your teeth right into it. When we look back at the In Search Of, so we look back in, the early 70s, the late 60s, the 80s, even 90s was the boom. And then we had, what year was it that the Ghost Hunters start? Was it 2000? I think it ran, 11, 14? Well, it's still going. But it has been very special. Thank you so much, Wu Train. How you doing, hon? Hello, Renice. How's everybody? Ted, how you doing, love? Thanks for being here. I'll tell you right now before I forget, when I was putting this show together, and I'll speak more on it later, I was thinking about Ted quite a bit today, so I hope your ears are burning, Ted. Hey, Lindsay, thank you so much. And Scott, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here. And I saw Jose in here, and Sarah. Hello, love, and Jennifer. Welcome, 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 welcome. And if you're just popping in to say hi, that's terrific. We appreciate you coming in and saying hello. If you could hit the thumbs up on the way out, that would be great. And I certainly appreciate it. That's kind of what we do it for, trying to break the algorithms and trying to get, hey, Uncommon, thank you so much. And I'll tell you what, I did have a wonderful day. My son's absolutely spoiled me rotten, and I couldn't ask for more. And, it's wonderful, and it's also really cool. Hey, Ron, welcome in. When people know you, and it's really neat, when you get those special things that really mean a lot. They put thought into it, and that's all of them were like that. And I just appreciate it so much. And thank you. And thank you to everybody on my social media and Facebook. And I put some stuff in there, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was overwhelmed. My phone was just blowing up, and I was editing, and I could hear it going off. And I'm like, if I get in there and look, I'm not going to get this done for tonight. And I wanted to be here tonight, and I wanted to have something kind of cool and different. And so I tried to thank everybody, but if I missed you, I apologize. I'm going to go back over it later to try to catch it up. But thank you sincerely for all the well wishes. And they worked because I had a wonderful day. And I'm feeling good about it. And here I am. I never thought I'd get to be this age. But, be blessed. Here we are. We're here for a reason. I believe we all are. And we talk about that on this channel all the time. So I've got some really cool stuff I've been looking into for the channel. Saw a really great guy today. Just a real, lived through it, kind of human, and came out on the other end, slowly but surely wiser, and then took it and turned that negative to a positive, and now a real warrior for the light. And it's very cool because they did their time in the dark. We've all been there. And speaking of which, if you're having a hard time right now, our heart goes out. We send good, happy energy out to you. It's hitting us all. These little psychic attacks, and the losses, and the heartbreak, and the bad news from loved ones, or disappointing situations that we're involved in. Here's the thing. It's going to happen. We're going to go through it, and we know that. We're all going, have been, and will go through those times, and that's why we're here to lift each other up through them. So anybody that has pain on them tonight, we ask that to be lifted from them, and refill that with the light and positive energy from this chat now, and for anyone in the future that will listen to this later on. I hope that you get that, because you put stuff like that out into the universe. I believe sincerely that your spirit guides and, can use it. The timing is impeccable on some of these things, and it's really coming in like I'm struggling to get this right. You almost want to say like a fire hose of just. And we feel it, but because we're, hey, Travis, welcome in. We feel it. And I hope you're doing great, babe. Let us know how you're doing. Um, we feel it as light workers. And I think what we do is we're almost on a reflex thing where we just kind of almost like make fists with your toes, almost like trying to get a better plant rooted and where we're standing because we know the winds are going to blow and just like we know what it takes to get through. It's like, here we go. And sometimes you can be like all those guys in that great CGI where they're doing I think it was Neo in the Matrix, wasn't it? Where he's just doing all these great bends and stuff and missing bullets and things being slung at him. That's what light workers are every day. And we forget that this is constant drain as empaths and intuitives and people of that consciousness and everything. You're trying to stay above that line and everything's trying to grab onto your ankles and slipping stuff into those pockets that we're trying to empty. And, some jerk situation or bad intended force, let's just say it that way, is filling your pockets up, while you're not looking, you're getting this one empty and they're putting it in the pocket behind your back. It's constant battle. Nobody ever said it wasn't. The thing about it is, though, it's like being in an ocean when the waves get really choppy and you know what you have to do. Hey, D-Rock, welcome in. Thanks for being here. And it's almost like being in that ocean. You have to, if you stop kicking and you stop paddling, you're going under. And so we don't. And it's almost like a reflex. So we know we've got that base paddle, that doggy paddle kind of thing going on. And sometimes we just kick back and we float. We realize we need a little bit of rest, and you just go with the flow and you go, okay, that's too far. And then because we choose our battles wisely. And I think that's what a lot of light workers that have seen, those kind of people they go, oh man, this is hell. And you go, no, honey, I've seen hell. This ain't it. Hell's got levels, honey, and that knowing people that go, oh, no, it gets worse. It can get worse. It's like, we almost laugh when we hear stuff like when people say that. It's like, well, can't get any worse. I'm like, oh, yes, it can. And that's almost like saying in a horror movie, I'll be right back. People who know go up. That's what it's like being a light worker, right? And we're all struggling and we're all trying to feel our way through. And we're all trying to assist each other up and keep ourselves above that line. And like I said, keep paddling, because there's bigger waves and, they may miss you, but you know what to do. You got to go with it. Hey, Julie, welcome in. So that's what we're doing. And I did want to put that good energy out there. I actually reached back to one of my my relatives that have passed. And I reached back there and I tried another experiment. I'll just share this with you and then we'll get on with the regular scheduled programming. Sounds so funny. But and yes, I do have Funny Honey for my birthday. So, I will be needing assistance the further this goes on. And I know you'll be there for me. So anyway, gosh, it's kicking in already. It's good stuff. See, again, another well, actually, this is Christmas. I think the people that love me are just trying to put me to sleep and get me to laugh till I fall asleep and do it again. It's not such a bad plan for retirement, right? And obviously, since another birthday kicking in, I'm getting closer to that. So anyhow, what I wanted to say was about the experiment. So really quick, that I do those energy experiments with people that are on the other side and send them good thoughts and tell them, hey, look, I know what you're going through. You're probably at this point now where you're really kind of looking back and seeing what you could have done differently. Not that you did everything wrong. It's like I think once you get at that consciousness, now this is a theory and a thought, you kind of, you have more, you see more of the cover to the box, more puzzle pieces are snapping together. At least let's hope, because if not, what, you know what I mean? So And you get there and you start understanding. I'm sure there's healing process and, understanding is as individual as each of us are, and consciousness and going through whatever you're going through. And I kind of think, and again, time taken into consideration, another freaking variable of time is different over there, you know. Um, that's as scientific as I want to get about that right now. And so you take all that into consideration. You go, hey, I don't know where you're at right now. And I know you're probably seeing a little bit, and this is just, hypothetical conversation. I figured this is the best way to just throw a sample out there. Okay. So, and I'm driving. Yeah. You're probably about at this stage, and I'm just taking a wild stab at it, based on, where I am in my understanding. But I know this person here that needs a little help. And just as an idea, if you need a boost in your energy, or you need to raise your vibration up, and you're doing things over there to try to undo or release or lighten, break a chain, a cycle, whatever their business. But you're trying to change that vibration. This wouldn't be a bad idea, and the timing might just about be right, if I'm seeing, the right picture. So everybody's will is their will, but, for your consideration. And I threw an idea out there. Let's see what happens. Because there are people here, and I think one of the worst struggles I see, and it's not that we know we're going to lose people. We know we're going to lose loved ones, four-legged or otherwise, two-legged. I've got it all around me right now, folks. I'm not speaking from an untouched, undisclosed location of, nothing's going on around me. It's insanity. And I get caught up in it too, and I feel my ankles getting pulled below that line, and I catch myself and I go, wait a minute, what? And I have to stop too. And I went, wait a minute, what worked for me? Let me pass that along. And that's what I'm kind of doing. So all of those things that I mentioned have to do with energy. And I'm not answering your questions. I will go back and try to catch up with the chat. I apologize. But if I read that, I will totally, completely lose my train of thought and have a hard enough time keeping, steam in the engine there. And so all of this has to do with energy. And when I was driving and I was talking to that, let's just say, ancestor, I wanted to see if we could use our intent connected to a living person that needs assistance, and you're kind of at the limit of how you can help that person. And now you're at the point of, now we're on to the soul care. If you catch you know what I'm saying? We're on the soul care. It's like, how can I best help these people ease their pain and their passing without them really knowing it even, or sticking my nose in further than I should. But hey, here's an idea. Because in the past, I've done things like that. And in an amazing number of those have found ways to come back to me or get me to know that it had a positive effect. So I figured, why not do this? Because we sit here and we go, how can we help as light workers? We're snowed in. It's freaking cold. We got our lard candles, right, Ted? We got our lard candles out. We're tenting it in the, whatever we're doing to stay warm, do it. And again, don't make me go over my list now. Y'all know, prepare ahead and take care of yourself, because you can't save the world if you don't save yourself first, right? So my whole thing on that is, it's all energy and it's all connected. So why not? And it's the same, I think, with how we use our time on, of course, birthdays. And thanks again. I see all the sweet messages. Thank you. I like to look back in the paranormal supernatural way you know, uh, not way, but with that in mind, with that thought in mind, and go again, looking back in my lifetime, how's this all changed? Like we looked at Bigfoot sepia, went back to 1972, 73, 74. They were saying the same things around that picnic table that we're saying now around, at the paracons or in conversations or in chat rooms. Similar. I have been hearing some new stuff lately, and that's a plus. I love it. What's up, Sarah? Is that snacks? Did you bring a snack, Sarah, for the whole class? Thank you, darling. What do you got there? Is that cheese? Oh, Ted, it's cheese. So we're going to move on, but I just wanted to share that because, thank you, baby. That's a little everything. So, Sarah brought a buffet, shared around, passed the plates and the noisemakers because this is a celebration. But that's just it. So what if it's not just a triangle of me saying, here's my intent, here's my in agreement if it's a good thing. Of course, I'm just throwing the idea out there. I don't have all the vision of all the levels of and the knowledge of what else is going on because, like I said, timing is everything, and we don't always know what's best because we don't have the full picture from every level. Shoot, we have a hard enough time doing that for ourselves. I mean, isn't that true? But we see other things and we think we know it all. Like, why is she putting up with that? Why is she doing that? I think if that was me, I do it. It's like, I don't even want to hear it anymore. Sometimes I have to turn myself completely off and just do research and do my work and jet because I can't engage. Light workers are going to feel that way. Forgive yourself for that. Find a way to move through it if you have to put yourself through that. Right? But when you forget and you start feeling yourself and it's getting harder and harder to keep kicking and harder to, to move through that, and you're starting to feel it and your energy is finding a way to release itself, and you have a second, don't second guess that. If you're noticing yourself doing that, tap the brakes and go, wait a minute. If I was somebody else looking at this, how would I see it? Because you get caught. This is going to drag you in. You have to go and come up for air. And remember, you're a light worker and it's energy, and you can manipulate it. You can change it. You can rebuke it. You can get it off. You can cleanse it, and you can send it. And you can do a lot of that sitting alone somewhere, driving a car, and putting that energy out there and calling on somebody that is crossed, that's been gone a while, that was kind of a go-getter when they were here, had a strong personality, and go, look, I know you get it now. Cousin Vinny over there, he could use some help. Is there anybody that can get a hold of his guides or something to go, put a little extra direction on that one, or ease their pain, like I was saying before? Let them know that they should let go of some of this and do a little forgiveness and a little letting go and a little, that doesn't matter, and do some of the work now ahead of time. That's another job for light workers. In some extreme cases, we call that, oh gosh, Ted, Sarah, if Aunt Edna was here, she'd say, I think it's, is it a doula? It's almost, somebody asked me one time what that was, and I said it's the opposite of a midwife. In a lot of tribal things, they call it singing someone over, or doing something like that. But we sit and we think, especially in these times where money's tight, we're not doing as much anymore, and we just, man, if I could just get out there, I could do some work. No, you don't have to. You can do it right from where you are. Send that light out and think about stuff like that. How many stories have we heard where somebody comes back and said somebody must have prayed for that person because they were surrounded by warrior angels. Somebody's praying hard for that person. Or here's another one. And it was actually in the movie The Ravine, as well as multiple ghost stories. and paranormal unexplained things, where a medium or someone of with abilities will walk into a place and go, somebody's been praying in this room. Somebody's been praying in this closet. Hey, Vixen, welcome in, honey. Because you can feel the energy, right? Again, I have a lot of that around me. Lost a neighbor. Can't look at you can't look at that house without feeling it. You can feel like the energy. I have no ability to go in there. All I can do is send good energy and good thoughts to that person and go, man, I cross well. It's important. We forget because we joke a lot, light worker or whatever. Oh, I'm a light worker, I'm intuitive, I'm an empath, and that stuff bothers me, and this whole, it's all coming. So you just have to block it, and that's okay. Do it. Block it out. Do something positive. You got to regenerate. You can't help anybody if you don't help yourself. And we all can get caught up. Happened to me. Happened to me recently. And it'll happen again. But we know the way out. It's like jumping in the hole, right? So let me catch a couple of these before we start. If you got any questions, I'm going to see if I can go over it real quick. But, and again, thank you again for all the well wishes. But try that energy, what you're putting out there, because, again, I'm doing some research on Ness, which takes you, of course, through Capone and St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the gangsters, the OGs, and it's just fascinating subject in time, But anyway, I've been going through all that and doing research on all this, and you can't help but pick up on the whole character narrative of each one of these individuals, these colorful characters, if you will. And it's the same with, ghosts, and it's the same with light workers and how people got to be powerful light workers. Everybody's got a story. Look at Bill Bean. Look what Bill Bean went through. His whole doggone neighborhood. But again, here's an 11-year-old kid in a room with 4 adults. And he's the one that's got, the Bible and a jar, literally a mason jar of holy water, and battling in his own living room, in his own home. The adults standing behind him, these daggum demons that eventually wound up darn near killing his sister, and eventually he's convinced killing his mother and tormenting his family for years until he finally had enough. And what a story. It's all, you can see it all on The Haunting. Just put in The Haunting Bill Bean and it'll pop up. I forget the name of it. But that's how he got started. As a kid, he had to go through all of that. And now he's a powerful warrior for the light. But so many people have this story. But that is as shaman and as so many different tribal beliefs as you're going to get. Because until you walk through the darkness, not only do you not appreciate the light, but you earn it. And when you earn it, it's magnified. And just when you think it's magnified as much as it can go, something else, you go through something else and you learn something else, and it's magnified again. And then you think it can't get brighter, and you get with people like-minded, and it's magnified again because you're in agreement on something. So when you hear people or you hear yourself say, there's nothing I can do, yes, you can. Just you got to get a little creative with it and a little freer with it, as far as thinking, yes, I have that power to do that. Yes, I have that power to stop that. Yes, I have that power to send out that thought and that energy in that direction. What that spirit does with that, or can do with that, or my spirit guides can. But it's a suggestion, like, hey, and I would will that, I would put my energy into that if that would, if that's something that not only can be done, because I stopped asking whether or not it can be done, but whether it should be at this time. And that's stuff that we're probably not going to know till we can look back or look down on, if you know what I mean. So it's good to see y'all here. Oh, I'm glad. Let me see, Travis. We are okay, sis. Staying warm. Donated some great sleeping bags, ready for 10 degrees. Oh, God bless you. Oh, geez. You know, we got to better that situation. Everybody just send Travis and his whole situation. I want you to, if it is your will and your intent, please let's send good energy. So here's how I do it. And it may be right or wrong, but this is just how I do it. Spirit guides, angels, everybody with a power or heartfelt um, willingness to send their energy towards Travis and everybody around him and everybody tonight in this chat and who will listen again, like we said in the beginning, who might listen later. Touch individuals in their heart and their minds and their subconsciousness if they're in a position to help, suggest, open a door, close a door, if it may be, change a heart, change a situation, give an idea. Whatever it may be, we are going to willfully send our energy out to everybody who needs a heart to be healed, needs a hug, needs some encouragement, needs a little extra warmth. We send that out there now. So may it be. Thank you, guys. Because here's the thing. That's how you do it. And you send it out and you hope that it hits where it needs to hit, goes where it needs to go. But that's up to the next stop. Get me? So again, why did I pick this tonight? I thought, I want to look back and see what was going on, back in 62. Long time ago, you know. And I've told you lots of times I was on TV and what was here, what was there. And, Halloween, you could catch ghost stories. And of course, all libraries and did a lot of reading. Books from my best friends. I'm sure I'm not the only one here that would say that. But, this one that's on tonight, I never saw. I never caught it when it was on. And it was done in 65. It's not 62, but it's close enough. And I thought that would kind of be neat if I could, pull something and take a look at what was going on around the time I was born as far as paranormal supernatural. And we've done it before on other birthdays with talking about Peter Underwood, in the UK. That was, that was going on. So many other levels of around the time of Hans Holzler, and what was going on, how everybody was dealing with. There was Sybil Leek and Ethel Myers and so many other people. Bryce Boyd, also out of New York, and so many other people. And the unsung of how many, deep woods or in the mountains or these little towns or these little tribal places, all the stuff that was going on. What were the beliefs? What did we think? Yep, NBC did it, Ted. That's right. And a TV station. And I think I have that in here. So that's what I mean, TV. But we didn't get to see it, as far as I know, in the United States. I don't remember seeing it then. But again, I was a kid, But even if it played later, I mean, I was just a little kid. We had our own, real thing going on around that time in that house. But I digress. So it was really neat to look back. And then, of course, I ran through all the things and we checked to see if we could play it on YouTube. And they said yes, much to my surprise. And all that was like somewhere around 2:00 this afternoon. So I was putting it all together because I really wasn't sure how things were going to go today. I wanted to kind of keep it open. And, I got a lot of stuff going on with family and things like that, they could use your prayers. So send them. And, but I decided I wanted to spend it a little bit with you guys, Yeah. Yes, it is, Vixen. Yep. No, babe, But I'm so glad I'm still here. And I'm so glad at this point I didn't wait too long, start opening my eyes when I was younger to try to take in all of this. Because again, here we go. I'll say it again. That's at a reasonable degree, 10. Oh yeah, I was so far into it. By the time I was 10, it wasn't even funny. Had so many experiences, and I was definitely nose deep in multiple books studying it So I can honestly say 50 years. And it's so cool to look back. Now, tonight's feature, I'm delighted to say, YouTube said, yep, you can show it and you can talk about it, and isn't it grand? So we are going to do so because I thought, well, I like this lady. Now, I know she was very active in the theater, very active, multiple movies, and she's just one of those character actors that if you ever saw her in an old film, you would know it in a heartbeat. You would know her in a heartbeat, and it is Dame Margaret Rutherford. And she did this is 65. I believe she passed in the 70s. It's in here. I have a little bit of information beforehand on her, which is interesting. You know, I love that stuff. I love the old posters, the old movies. It's so interesting. And I wanted to see how many things she did that were kind of this kind of theme, because in this little TV special she did, she's all very proper, and she's got her little eccentric attitude. I just love her to death. And she's got her husband with her, and everybody goes about this ghost hunting history, um almost like a tour, um in a style that you don't get to see much. You know, I would say that the closest thing on this channel that we've done would be the Peter Underwood and how he went about his ghost hunting. But this is this is so different. And it was a great delight to see Ted in here tonight, because I believe that Ted knows a little bit about some of these properties, and he's going to put up little stuff in between if he would like to. And if you're feeling up to it, Ted, you go right ahead as much as you like, or or as little. And I just thought that was so interesting, because when I was putting this together, I was thinking about you, Ted. Like I said, very interesting. So I think you're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna get that playing. So try to catch a couple of these comments. Megan, thank you very much for all the well wishes. It's been lovely. Huge stately homes. Absolutely. That's gonna be fun. Thank you so much, Vixen. Thank you. Yep. She did what now? 1892 to 1970. She had good. Yep. Yep. I thought it was in the early 70s, but man, what a career, right, Ted? Yep. So it said here, Rutherford had a dreadful childhood. Her father murdered her grandfather and was committed, and her mother hung herself while pregnant. My gosh, But see, there she is. But without even knowing it. Now, see, I'm going to claim this one. I think this is spirit guides working again. Not only did it fit the fact that it was something on television in the early 60s when I was born, but here's obviously someone who turned her negative to a positive and found her outlet by entertaining people and being a terrific thespian and a great character actor, and being herself as well. She put a lot of her own, you can see it in her characters, just wonderful. And she did it with class, and she didn't care that and I wasn't going to say she was different. She was just herself. I love that. And we picked that on accident. I didn't even know. Thank you, Ted. See? It again. Went through hell as a kid and that's hard to do, because you got all those negative forces that are drawn to that, and it's a harder battle than we even give ourselves credit for. I wish I could portal you a plate for your birthday, Cisco. Oh, what do you got? We're having chicken fettuccine Alfredo salad and garlic bread for din din. Ooh. Well, you just go ahead and enjoy that for me. Go ahead and enjoy that for me. I'll tell you what, if I ate all that pasta and that, my goodness, all that Parmesan and heavy cream, whew, I'd be out like a light. I don't know if that would mix good with funny honey. I'm glad, Travis. Take it to you claim that energy, honey. That's all you got to do. When somebody puts their intent like that out there, you just, that was the thing. I've even practiced that in, places, say you've got to go into an office, there's some paper signing going on or some other kind of thing, and you need this to go down your way. You do that little prayer and say, look, if you guys could reach out and touch people's heart and really kind of work on a whisper in their ear, work on their subconscious, whatever, to get them till they maybe not see that thing and let it go through, or whatever. If it's for the good, I'm giving my intent and putting it out there for you to reach out and touch those people's hearts and have it, work our way. That would be wonderful. And you'd be surprised how much that works, And again, how do you prove it, right? So it's going to be huge stately homes, and she passed in 72, but she was a dame, and I consider myself one as well. Or broad, or, an old Jersey girl. I've never felt like a Jersey girl, or maybe I don't like the way where I think it's become to me now, especially after that show with the Jersey Shore stuff and all that. It's different. It's when you're Jersey, it doesn't have anything to do with, it's just your Jersey. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Every state's got something, right? All right, guys. So here we go. I'm going to stop blathering for a little bit and I'm going to get started. But she was the spitting of, oh, was she? And thank you, Travis. We got to help get your situation changed. I'm telling you what, I'm not having it. I've been there and it sucks, and it's just shitty. Here I am telling people, how to stay warm in their houses. So many people I know where it's going to drop so cold, negative, whatever's. Listen, once you use the word negative, you're already, the degrees, it just seems to be silly after that. It's just freaking cold. Yep, the universe is working. It is, honey. Absolutely. I mean, it's just wild. So here's another one, and that makes me like her even more. But she's fun. Look, you be yourself, and when you can reach out there and you can find a way to be yourself and have it, and still survive and still live, and it's an amazing thing. Because so many people have to go to places every day and pretend there's something they're not, and I think more and more people are saying enough. Whether it's the universe that they've had to make a hard left or a quick, serpentine or a zigzag or whatever in their life. And then a lot of people realize right where I'm supposed to be. Now what? Just don't let it get you down. And when you do get down, realize, hey, again, that's when the waves are getting too choppy. Maybe you're fighting. You just need to take a break for a minute, get your bearings, stop, regroup, and then go back to trying to get a direction. And, make sure the waves you're fighting are worth fighting for, because there's going to be a lot of them. Okay? Okay. Let's celebrate a couple of dames. What do you think? And I'll stop it along the way. Here's something funny you guys might not know. On YouTube, if you're doing something like this, if they're kind enough to let you in the public domain, put something like this up, you have to stop and say, talk about it a little bit. So I'm not being rude, but it's important to get your opinion on it too. And I think if you haven't seen this, you guys are going to absolutely, it's delightful. Isn't it, Ted? Have you seen this, Ted? What are you saying? It's so hard to see. I got to get new glasses, y'all, because I have to get real close to your chat to be able to see. I have to lean in and focus. Okay, this is where we're going. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, Ted. All right. So let's check it out and see in the beginning here a little bit. And I hope I did enough timing, and forgive me. I had to put this together this afternoon. If it goes too fast, I'll stop it. Okay, I wanted to stop right there for a reason. Because just like Ted says, you have to stop it and critique it along the way. And we're going to do our best to get that done as quickly and efficiently as possible. Scott, did I say hi to you, sweetie? If not, hello. And I hope you're doing okay. Are you in your cabin out there? Because I don't want to say where, just in case you don't want that disclosed. But I hope you're warm. People in here are saying it's 0 degrees, it's negative, whatever. Like I said, once you hit negative, as far as I'm concerned, once you get past the 60s changes to the 50s is too cold. All right, sweetie. Thanks for being here. It's great to see you. And Jose, I'm glad to see you tonight. I noticed in here you said that it's a rare occasion for you to be here. I know you're hardworking. So many people in here are. They just keep on going, and I think that's part of the light worker. We're warriors, and we have to just expel our energy somehow. We're always so busy doing stuff. That's all part of it. But I stopped it for this because if you haven't gotten to see Blithe Spirit, I don't know that this is the original, but it was in the 30s. And guess who was in it? Miss Rutherford. And she plays a psychic. And I hope you got to read it there. But the premise of it is, I believe there's an author played by, Dr. Doolittle. What's his name? Vixen, help me. It says it right there. Doggone it. Rex Harrison. That's it. So, wait a minute. Let me set that back a titch. I love that song. Rex Harrison. Where is the poster? There's the poster. Okay. So you can see in the poster here. And she's playing a psychic. And he hires her, or somehow has her over to his apartment with some of his friends, and he's an author and he's going to write a book. So it's basically, if I got it right, he's kind of doing research, and hopes that something will happen that he can use in the book, right? But he's a skeptic, so he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. Well, as luck would have it, she's a real psychic, and she's goes in the house and starts doing this seance, and she churns up Rex Harrison's ex-wife, as you can see here, in ghostly form, full body apparition. His ex-wife, who's a little miffed. I'm not sure about what yet, because I have not seen the whole thing yet. But she comes in, and Rex has got a new wife, and apparently mayhem ensues, and it's supposed to be a great comedy. I haven't seen it all, but if this works, hold on one second. I can show you a little clip. So just a few seconds, but let's see. Okay. Wait a minute, I gotta stop it. Fantastic, right? Okay, so if you saw on the top there, put it in your search. And yes, she did for the V.I.Ps, Ted. She won an Oscar for the V.I.Ps and something else. And Jose said, yes, he is working his butt off. I'm telling you what. Oh, is he doing good? Tell him we said hey. Send our love that way. I just haven't even Wednesday nights. I must be doing something, and I'm not in too much for this. I work late that night. I have to catch it. If you want, drop his link in here so we can get everybody that wants to say hi to Donnie can get over there and join his channel. Okay, what else we got going on? Yep, 1963. Yep, which is I was a year old. Again, birthday theme. Here we go. So that, if you noticed, put in Blithe Spirit, and it was, let me check again what year this was. Hold one second here. This was okay. One second, guys. This doesn't have the year that it was released, but there's so many different versions of that movie. It's also a play, lots of different plays online. But just put her name in, whatever, and then put in archive.gov and you can watch that movie. Hope it's available in all the countries. If not, you might be able to get it on Amazon or one of the other ways you stream. But I think it's totally worth watching. And it has popped up in lots of my different things. I never stopped to watch it until I looked at this, and I thought, man, I got to share that with everybody. I just think it'd be so sweet. Yeah, No Coward directing. Yes, yeah. Oh, thank you. 1941. Yep. Thanks, Jose. Please do. Yeah, we love Donnie. I hope he's doing some good stuff. He's eating a lot of pickles over there. I hope he's doing well. Okay, so one second here. Let me get this back up. Yeah, so I wanted to share that with you because I'm going to watch it, but I couldn't put that link in the description. But you can get there real easy. I mean, it's just go right in the browser, archive.gov, put it in there, movie, watch it. No commercials. It's fantastic. But some of these old movies, man, I mean, I really got caught up looking into it because they were putting like all the different bloopers, and I'm like, now I can't unsee it, so I'll be looking for it when I watch the movie. But watch it, and then next weekend come in here and tell me how you liked it, because a lot of those old flicks, I find out that they really had it right. And I almost wonder, where were the books that they were getting it from, or were they getting it from, handed down generation to generation, more just like almost like a tribal cultural knowledge? Or were they actually getting it out of periodicals did they have better research materials than we did? Because why in 1935 and, in the early 30s, watching films that seem to have it, like get it right. So I'd love to know where they got that knowledge from, because I talk to people today that seem to struggle with half of that, and I'm not dissing them for that. I'm just saying it's the same information, which is the whole point of this show tonight, is going back and going, same information, 1965. So without further ado, we'll finish. Interesting, right? Hope you get to see the movie. I think it's going to be a real cracker. Adorable. That's his name, Stringer Davis. That's her husband's name, Stringer. Wait do you see? There's this one scene where she goes and takes the crew in, and you hear all kinds of reviews and critiques on this. Here, this is, if you look at this, what we're about to watch, with the idea of it's similar to today, where you can't tell whether you're looking at satire or a parody or if it's real. I'm leaning towards the latter, because in this short 40-minute show on television that they're doing for television, she's trying to get out all of these paranormal and terms and occulted, like the kind of the hidden history and terms that are accepted at the time. Probably the same that Peter Underwood was using, very similar to how he would do. Is that, he'd be sitting back and he'd have his, cardigan on, and he'd be very succinct in how he spoke about things. And if you said something, he would correct you, but he didn't do it out of arrogance. He did it out of, this is what's accepted now. Similar to how ghost hunters and consultants will now correct people that are saying poltergeist isn't just a noisy ghost, even though the name derives from that. They're really leaning more towards a poltergeist is more of a massive energy that was never alive. And that's kind of what's going on in these times. I'm sure there's other things, but that's just something that comes to mind. Very similar to that. I don't take it as arrogance. I think it's just her, and she's got a job to do, and she's got I think she's got a true belief in this, not only because of the 2 movies or more and plays that she's done, but because also the mysteries for the Ms. Marple. She did a lot of Agatha Christie's. She plays them so well, and the way she carried herself in life, she always seemed to have, studying her a little bit, I'm no expert on her, but she seemed to have this acceptance of, kind of like a lot of us do, of we see the ugly, but we see the good and the, the I don't know how else to say it, the cheeky essence of it all, because the universe can really be that way, and the spirits and everything else, the way things happen, you can kind of, that's the air I get off of her. You guys might get a different flavor. Let's continue on. You're going to love her.
And she wrote to me and told me that when she lived here in the 1890s with her mother, her mother frequently met the ghost of Nell Gwyn.
Now, although the monks, of course, have been gone for over 400 years, you can very much still feel the sense of them here.
And I heard what was quite definitely chanting. It was coming in uneven waves off the hill opposite the house.
But she's fading, slightly fading. And I don't think she'll be coming to this house much longer now.
They were talking about ghosts, ghosts they've seen or heard or felt. This was not idle talk. These people truly believe in their ghosts. Most of the people you've just seen, some of them titled, live in England's stately houses. Their normal surroundings are mansions and castles going back 500 years or even more. The house behind me, Salisbury Hall, is historic and haunted. Roman soldiers once kept their watch here, and ever since, great and near-great people have lived and died here, so naturally it shelters ghosts. Ghosts inhabit 4 out of 5 of England's historic houses. You do not find mention of these ghosts in the guidebooks. It might be bad for business. The business of attracting tourists to stately houses at half a crown a head.
You gotta admit, that's a bold statement. 4 out of 5 houses. Didn't even blink. So I can't disagree with him. I would say probably 5 out of 5. You just don't know it. But, he got criticized for that in some of the things that I read, and I thought I'd point it out. But can you say he's wrong? I can't.
Let us then invite you behind the facade the tourist sees and tell you of strange tales, some frightening, some beautiful, all remote from today. For our research and to tell our stories, we chose 3 experts. Every theater goer knows and loves that most English of actresses, Margaret Rutherford. Few know that she happens also to be a true believer in ghosts. So too is Tom Corbett, one of London's best-known society clairvoyants. With them, we present their husband, Stringer Davis. This is their story of what they found as they tell it.
With every mile, we were traveling deeper and deeper into the West Country. As we passed Stonehenge, that enigma built by an unknown people in the dark time before history began, I remember Mr. Corbett turned to me and said, "You know, there's an affinity between Stonehenge and Longleat." How true that is. In its vastness, its grey strangeness, Stonehenge set the key for the house we were about to visit, the Wiltshire home of the Marquis of Bar, Longleat. Today, Longleat is a magnificent relic paid homage to every year by thousands of tourists. It was built to be a family home, but now only a few of its 100 rooms are occupied by Lord Bath's eldest son. The gardens are meticulously cared for, but no one plays croquet anymore. There is no bustle in the servants' hall. The beautiful furniture has a frozen, unused look. The great Longleat collection of books, one of the finest private collections in the world, today stands immobile and unread upon the shelves. Up in the nursery, there are marks on the wall to show where generations of children have stood to have their height measured. But there are no children now. In 1735, something happened at Longleat which brought horror to the house. An atmosphere which has never left it, which has touched each generation, charging the air with an unhappy restlessness. Lord Bath told us the story at dinner, over port.
Now, what I want to tell you is the legend of Longleat. I don't say it's gospel, mind you, but there have been some, how shall I put it, uncanny happenings which prove it as near as damn it. It all began in about 1733 when my great-great-great-great-grandfather, the second Viscount, married and brought back to Longleat the beautiful and lovely Lady Louisa Carteret as his wife. Her beauty and her charm and wit had been the rage of London, and society was absolutely thunderstruck when she married my ancestor, who, I have to admit, wasn't much of a chap. The marriage wasn't successful. It was at one of those many balls held at Longleat at the time. Louisa met and fell in love with a young man. We don't really know who he was. We only know that he returned her love, and that it was a very tempestuous affair. One night, Weymouth happened to discover them together and challenged his rival to a duel, being careful first to lock his wife inside her bedroom.
The duel ended in tragedy. The lover was killed. Louisa Carteret died soon afterwards of a broken heart, they say. And as if he were a guilty man, Viscount Weymouth shut up Longleat and went to spend what was left of his life in the nearby village of Horningsham, leaving behind him an empty house. But was it empty? Ever since then, the corridor where the duel took place has been filled with a restless, unhappy atmosphere. Down the ages, people have told stories about it. They tell of a green figure that wanders along it, of the sound of weeping. Gradually, it has become accepted that the spirit of Louisa Carteret has bound itself to that corridor, searching, always searching, for her dead lover.
Well, that's the legend as far as it goes. But we do know that the Viscount left Longleat, his home, never to return. And during recent years, we have made an uncanny discovery, which I'll show you later on. Now, I've never actually myself seen or heard the supernatural. But I can remember in my lifetime servants walking miles round the passages rather than to go down that corridor at night. And in any case, I can promise Mr. Corbett sufficient work for any medium here at Longleat tonight.
Oh, Mr. Corbett isn't a medium. He's a clairvoyant. Mediums claim to be in touch with the spirit world through a guide, a long-dead man or woman whose job it is to bridge the gulf between the living and the dead. But clairvoyants make no such claim.
I just happen to be born with a gift. I can see ghosts. I can't exercise nor tell them to go away, but when they're around, I can see them.
Well, if that's the case, we might as well get on with the job. But before we go to the haunted corridor, I would like to introduce you to my librarian, Miss Coates, who says she's actually seen the ghost.
Oh, yes, please do.
Well, it was not so much a matter of...
I just got to say, well, you know, never mind. Go ahead.
Of seeing.
So far, I agree, except for where he said he didn't. You do. Everybody does. And I just, you know how I feel. I think that every ghost has the right to know its choices. That's all I'm saying. You know. But you do have a right, if it's in your home, look, got to go. So don't let anybody tell you that. But, so there's something different. Maybe we've learned that over 6 years, but I think people knew that too. But I think you have to think about the times and what they're comfortable saying on a TV special. Apparently is a different way of going about ghost hunting, don't you think? It's a little different than what you would see today if you turned on a ghost hunting show. Probably even in the same places. It's crazy, right?
With one's physical eyes, as of feeling something very sinister in a particular spot in that corridor. It happened during my first week at Longleat when I was trying to find my way from the Red Library up to my bedroom. Instead of arriving there, I came to a corridor on the top floor where I'd never been before. As I was walking along, there was a turn in the corridor and I made to go around it, and was immediately enveloped, one might almost say, with an atmosphere that was so terrifying that I couldn't go on. I pulled myself together after a second or so and tried to move on, but the atmosphere got stronger. It was full of hatred and violence, and something worse than that, something really evil. It literally paralyzed me for a few moments.
We're going there now, Miss Coates. Would you care to join us?
No, thank you. I never go there now.
The ghost is known as the Green Lady, but I always think that to be somewhat of an embellishment, prompted really by the fact that Lady Louisa had a portrait painted in a green dress. And in any case, as a matter of fact, the people who've seen the ghost testified to it being greyish in colour.
Well, ghosts rarely manifest themselves in colour, Lord Bath. They're usually described as grey or whitish grey because that's the general colour of the ectoplasm which surrounds psychic manifestation. Might we go round that corner? Thank you.
just up ahead.
This is indeed a sad part of the house.
Yes, I think it is.
And this is the scene of the great tragedy.
Well, no wonder it's sad then.
Where the Viscount Weymouth slain his wife's lover. Can't you feel it yourself?
Yes.
The unpleasant and rather hair-raising atmosphere of this corridor.
Perhaps we can bring a little cheer from our
I hope
own
we
lives.
can. See here, by those two pictures, we have the ghost of the man who was murdered.
He comes back here. You wouldn't think he'd want to come back, would you?
Well, one can only assume if that he's coming back to meet his loved one.
Yes, that was undying and nothing could alter it. That, of course, was it, wasn't it?
Well, he was separated from her in this life.
Yes, yes.
So I suppose it is natural that he would want to find her in the next.
Yes. Well, I hope he did.
Slowly fading.
Mm-hmm. It's very dear of her to come, isn't it, and see us. It occurs to me, Tom, would it be possible to record such a materialization as we have just seen by means of camera lens?
Yes, but never in color. However, there have been many pictures of ectoplasmic manifestations recorded in black and white film. There's the famous photograph taken at the Ina Nielsen seance, during which time the spirit of Queen Astrid of the Belgians made her appearance. And this is she was in real life. The famous picture of the ghost at Raynham Hall, the home of the Marquis of Townsend. And here is a series of photographs taken of the American medium Ethel Post and the gradual materializations.
Well, then, do you think one could venture?
I'm sorry, but this picture reminds me of that little trailer we just saw of Blithe Spirit. And again, please let me know next weekend if you watch it, because of lines like this. Do you remember when her character said, "I can smell the ectoplasm in the air," or whatever it was she said, and the ghost said, "What a nasty thing to say," or what a disgusting thing to say. That's a good line. I had to go back and see that again. It was funny. Never mind. Carry on.
To use such an experiment here in this case.
Well, I sincerely hope somebody will try it.
Yes, that would be good.
Tom Corbett asked Alan Fabian to come down from London and set up his special time-lapse camera equipment all night in the haunted corridor at Longleat to see if we could catch the image of Louisa Carter's on the film. We were not to know the results of that experiment until much later. As we left the haunted corridor to go down to the cellars, where Lord Bath had promised us we would find proof that the legend was true, we passed once again through the beautiful Bishop Ken Library.
By the way, this is only part of the collection of the books at Longleat. We have over 30,000 volumes divided between this library up here and 2 more on the ground floor.
William Shakespeare, the first folios.
now I would like to show you one of the biggest proofs that this legend is true. In 1911, my father decided to modernize what was even then considered to be a somewhat antiquated form of central heating. But in order to do so, he had to lower the floor of the existing furnace room, which is just up here ahead.
There, right there. It was when they lifted those flagstones that they found the skeleton of a man. Most of the clothing that he was wearing had completely deteriorated into dust, with the exception of a pair of boots, which were identified as belonging to the time when Louisa Carteret came to Longleat.
So this is where they buried Louisa's lover. The following day, we saw the film that had been taken in the haunted corridor. There was something on it.
You see it now?
Yes, coming down the
Comes
wall.
through the door.
Quite right.
Through the door on the
It
left.
seems to go disappear at that door on the left.
You see?
Yes. Or do you think that has a significance?
Well, frankly, I would have thought it was the beginning of a manifestation. Let me run it back for you again.
Yes, please.
Well, let's go back on that again.
There's no suggestion that it was a car light, which of course does spring to one's mind that the light from a car would travel.
Yes, but you can't because it's in the well at the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's surrounded by 4 very high walls, so that's an impossibility. And of course we have the testimony of Jeff Smith, the electrician who spent the whole night there.
Yes.
Well, we sat there this night with this stop frame camera, Alan Fabian and myself. All the lighting conditions were controlled. The windows were blacked out. There was no possibility of moonlight or car headlights or anything coming through. When we saw the stuff later, there was this shaft of light, which is, to me, is completely unexplainable.
Of course, we can never know conclusively, but I prefer to believe that it was a sign from Lady Carteret, thanking us for our interest and wanting us to know that all was well with her. By the time we left Longleat, it was dark. The swans on the ornamental lake stood out like porcelain figurine on the black water. There is a legend that when the swans fly away from Longleat, never to return, the Thin family will die out. It is fervently to be hoped that day will never arrive. Chamber of Salisbury Hall, the home of Mr. and Mrs. Walter Goldsmith. We are waiting for a ghost to appear. The ghost of Nell Gwynn. one of the smallest of the stately homes of England. Its approach is by an undistinguished-looking farm track leading off the main London road 4 miles south of St. Albans. A sudden switch to the left, and you are facing a small bridge over a moat. Cross that bridge, and you are on a few square yards of earth whose history is the history of England. For ever since men knew how to build, there has been a house at Salisbury Hall. Beneath this floor is hard-beaten earth, which knew the heavy imprint of a Roman soldier's sandal. But for the legend of Salisbury Hall and the hauntings, we have only to go back 3 centuries to those magnificent days of Charles II, that charming, sensual, merry monarch of the Restoration. In 1668, Samuel Pepys wrote in his diary, "The king did send for Nell Gwynn." She was 18, a red-headed, impish, witty, loyal gutter snipe who had made her way up from the streets to be an orange seller, to be eventually the best-loved actress and comedian of her day. He was a splendid man in his early 40s. Neither were exactly new to love. The king's mistresses were notorious and legion. And Nellie, well, Nellie came from the poorest streets of London, where life was lived to its fullest and pleasure taken when and where one might. The liaison that began that day in 1668 was to last until their death. It was here that he brought her, away from the prying eyes and gossiping tongues of the court. In that room upstairs, their first son was born, and the king created him Duke of St. Albans. Because from this bedroom window can be seen in the distance the ancient city of St. Albans. Nellie was only 35 when the king died. She outlived him by just 2 years, every hour of them in danger of being thrown into a debtor's prison. Her death was in the utmost poverty. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Amen. Old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. Yes, this is Nellie's house, where she loved and laughed, and to which she now returns. She now returns. She now returns.
I want you to be honest. You can't buy stuff like this. You can't make this stuff up. I told you this was delightful in every way. And it just blows my mind how differently they're going about this, how it just, I love it. I just love it. It's just the greatest birthday present. Is she not wonderful? Bless her heart. I hope she's watching this with us. Here's to you, girl. Just a great dame. Here's to you, Margaret. Wonderful. Keeps getting better, too.
Have you ever seen Nell Gwynn, Mr. Goldsmith?
No, I regret
very much, I haven't actually seen Nell Gwynn. But there's a great deal of compelling evidence to show that she does, in fact, reappear. That book, by your left hand, Mr. Davis, contains the testimony of no less a person than Sir Winston Churchill's stepfather, who once lived in this house.
It's called Edwardian Heydays. Ah, here's the passage. One evening at Salisbury Hall, just as it was getting dusk, I came down the staircase, which leads into the old panelled room that we used as a dining room, and there, standing in a corner, I saw the figure of a youngish and beautiful woman with a blue fichu round her shoulders. She looked intently at me, then turned and disappeared through a door in the passage. I followed her and found nothing. She looked so exactly like a former nursemaid of ours called Ellen Bryan that I felt certain she must have died, and I had witnessed an apparition of her at the moment of her death. I thought no more about the matter until a few weeks later, when my sister Daisy came to visit us. As Salisbury Hall had been inhabited by Nell Gwynn, I had a hobby of collecting prints of this lady, and taking up one, Daisy said, "I never realized before the truth of what people used to say about Ellen Bryan, how she was exactly like the pictures of Nell Gwynn."
She is here. She's very definitely here.
Is she here? I mean, is she in our midst?
Oh, yes, without a doubt. But she's fading. I don't think she'll come to this house much longer, because she appears to me as though she's finally reaching her state of rest.
Pity it isn't happening to the one upstairs, Tom. You know, we've got 2 ghosts at Salisbury Hall.
But you have got the ghost of a man here. He passed out of this life, I would say, through rather tragic circumstances.
We know all about this one. I'd better give you a bit of the background history first. During the Civil War, this was a royalist stronghold, and the whole house was honeycombed with secret hiding places for hiding arms. And during some engagement in the district, some cavalier fled here and hid in one of these numerous hiding places, and he was awfully afraid he was going to give away secrets, so he committed suicide. Now, Mrs. Goldsmith has had distinct manifestations of this person.
I got to chime in here because this is what he just stated would be an absolute perfect way to describe how I've felt that the Revolutionary War soldier that we had in our house in Jackson, New Jersey, when I was a little girl. So it would have been around this time, exactly when they were making this TV thing. I was going through that. And that's kind of been the agreed upon likelihood that, you know, because of his different things that was picked up by different people, but more how he acted and how he appeared, especially how he appeared to certain people. It's very interesting, but very similar. And I thought that was a great way to describe it.
Yes, it happened to me in that bedroom through there. One night when I had a rather heavy cold and I went to sleep in that room, I was awakened at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I suppose, by the sound of footsteps passing the door in the corridor outside. I switched on my bed lamp and I expected him to come and see how I was. But the footsteps never returned. In the morning I asked Walter about this, and he said that throughout the whole night he'd never stirred. And I've had the same experience several times since then. And to prove that it's not simply my imagination playing tricks on me, I'd like to read you a bit of a letter which I had from Mrs. Rose Stupsall, who spent her childhood in this house. One ghost often felt by the children was in the bedroom over the entrance hall with the porch dressing room. This was my parents' room, and a child used to sleep at the foot of the bed. Both my brother and my sister were wakened by something terrifying standing by the bed, and this on many occasions. In the same room, my governess spent a night while my mother was away on business. She said something terrifying came through the door and stood by her bed. Another friend had the same experience.
This seems the most convincing evidence of an unseen visitor. Indeed it does.
Let me ask you a question, Mrs. Goldsmith.
He wants us to follow him.
Surely there must have been another wing to this house.
Yes, it was burnt down in 1813.
But this is where the ghost walks.
So you see, Mrs. Goldsmith, you may well have been right about the footsteps that went in one direction only.
But you're wrong in thinking, Mr. Goldsmith, that you have just two ghosts. On the way in, I found a third one on the bridge leading to the house.
More than two.
One thing I will say about these grounds, you can hardly dig a spade into the earth without coming up with some archaeological treasure. I found a complete history of artifacts, Roman coins, 15th century spurs. The only thing I haven't discovered is the entrance to the old cellars.
This is another of the ghosts of Salisbury Hall. The prototype of the gallant little mosquito fighter bomber which started its life here when the hall became a workshop for Sir Geoffrey de Havilland.
Yes, there's no doubt at all, but you have the ghost of a woman here. I would have said that she's extremely pleasant, and if you can describe the word warm-hearted ghost, I'm sure that in life she was.
As Tom identified still another ghost, I turned for a last look at this historic and haunted house. My feelings were mixed, as they must ever be when seeking to converse with the world of the spirit. Salisbury Hall had seemed to me aglow with the past. One had felt the presence of Nell Gwynn. I resented the thought that her generous and courageous spirit should ever be in any way earthbound. Perhaps, though, she had been seeking again the happiness that was hers for a short while in this house. They say her image is fading. May we believe, as Tom does, that she is finding her rest and fulfillment in that other life that we hope awaits us all. With joy we leave thee, false world, and do forgive all thy false treachery, for now we'll happy live, that thus we happy live. In 1204, the days of Robin Hood, when King John ruled England, 30 monks and their abbot came to this place, this beautiful place called Beaulieu, to this remote stretch of land on England's south coast to build an abbey. They were Cistercians, one of the strictest orders in the Roman Catholic Church. In obedience to their rule, the abbey was to be of the simplest architecture, far away from the habitation of ordinary folk, to possess no gold nor silver ornamentation. Even the crucifix was to be made of plain wood. Working with their bare hands, it took them 42 years to complete the abbey. But when they had completed it, it looked something like this. They worked hard, and they prayed hard. But above all, the monks of
Did your sound go out, guys?
The Cistercian special care was for the dead. At the hour of 2 every morning, the monks rose from their beds, and each carrying a candle would make their way from the dormitory to the abbey for vigils and the commemoration of the dead. Gradually, the column of cowled figures, lit by flickering flames, wound its way chanting into the abbey, and each monk took his allotted place.
Sorry about the sound. We'll come back.
When there was a death at the abbey, the voices of the monks rose louder than ever. As they carried the body to its grave, interceding with God for the soul of their dead brother. Gradually, the monks of this and other abbeys began to lose their simplicity of life. In 1536, the worldliness of the monasteries gave Henry VIII his excuse to dissolve them and to appropriate to himself their wealth and lands. Beaulieu was taken from the monks and sold to Sir Thomas Wriothesley, Earl of Southampton, an ancestor of the present owner, Baron Montague of Beaulieu. So for over 400 years there have been no monks at Beaulieu. But is this really so? For there are those who say that the souls of the monks who worked and worshipped in the sanctuary have returned there after death. Today you will find many people at Beaulieu who say that the voices of the monks have never been stilled, and that cowled figures still walk the old paths and lanes of the abbey. There are those, too, who have seen a monk in brown wandering about, performing his duties as he did 400 years ago. And they say that if there has been a death on the estate or in the village, the chanting of voices can be heard in the still of the night, louder and clearer than ever. We were eager to present ourselves at Beaulieu.
Too many people have seen ghosts of the monks of Beaulieu Abbey too many times to permit doubt in any but the most sceptical mind. I must admit that although I haven't actually seen a ghost myself, I know a great many people who have. Now this house, for instance, was the great gatehouse of the Abbey of Beaulieu and has been part of the family home since the 1500s. Now although the monks, of course, have been gone for over 400 years, you can very much still feel the sense of them here. For instance, people come up on the stairs here and often smell incense. And I remember as a child, my sisters too, we were terrified of the landing here and used to rush by on our way to bed.
Tell me, Lord Montague, do these ghostly phenomena remain generally consistent?
Rigidly consistent. First of all, there is the visual haunting, generally taking the form of a monk in brown being seen on various parts of the estate. And then there are the auditory hauntings, which take the form of chanting of monks, heard usually at night. Now I want you to come and meet my sister, because when it comes to ghosts, she's had some of the weirdest experiences of all.
Really? Is she at home today?
I was 18 at the time. I was sitting...
I'm trying to find a way to say this to express myself without being... This is my favorite part of the entire show, and on so many levels. You'll see what I mean. But I mean that with the utmost respect, but this is the most delightful part of this whole thing. So just buckle in, get closer. You're not going to want to miss it.
At this window, looking out into the grounds, probably mooning over some boy or other I thought I was in love with. Gradually I became aware there was a choir singing outside. The sound sort of rising and falling, rather like a primitive radio.
Oh, yes.
Suddenly I realized, though, that it was chanting I was hearing.
Oh, fan.
A chill went up and down my spine, and when my dog started to howl, then I was really frightened. Next day, I went to visit a friend of mine, Miss Amy Cheshire, who lived in the Abbey, and whom I knew was very knowledgeable about psychic things and was in tune with the ghostly monks. While she was putting on the kettle for tea, I went over to her piano and I started to pick out the tune I'd heard the night before. It went something like this. When I looked round, she stared at me. She said, "So you heard it too? They were very loud last night, weren't they?"
Yes.
Soon after, Miss Cheshire died. Another lady took over her room. I was looking out of her upstairs window, which faced onto the ruined cloisters, when she saw a monk in a brown habit standing motionless in one of the arches. Out there.
This is one of the monks which we showed to the visitors here at Beaulieu. The robes came from the Abbotess Sita, the mother church of the order. My father obtained it from them some years ago.
Oh, fancy. But why is he not wearing brown?
Well, the brown robes were used by the lay brothers who worked at Beaulieu, but this is the black and white robes of the actual church monks.
Oh.
When I was a boy, there was a wonderful old vicar here. In fact, he was vicar of Beaulieu for 53 years. And he used to be in very close communion with the monks. He used to know them by their Christian name and shut up the church and have special services for them.
What a very enlightened man he sounded.
Oh, may I join the choir invisible of those immortal souls who live again in minds made better by their presence.
George Eliot.
Okay.
Silas Marner, I think.
Yes. Of course, there was another man here who lives at Beaulieu who's seen the ghost of a monk. He's Colonel Robert Gore Brown, who owns a vineyard here.
Oh.
The vines were actually planted on the same site as the monks had their vineyard 750 years ago, and we're now making wine again.
Is that so? I must see him.
Well, I have seen the ghost here. It's our old friend the monk, with the brown frock, down to his feet. I was taking my little dog in the afternoon for a walk up this road here. And over the brow of the hill I saw the monk. And there was a figure clothed in a brown jersey down to its knees.
Yes.
And when I came to the top of the hill, nothing.
Well, you'd obviously seen the monk in brown.
I think I had. See what I mean?
Yes.
Now I want to take you to a part of the estate which I think is really the most haunted of the lot. This cottage is situated on what was the northeast corner of the abbey. We believe that its garden was where the monks were buried. Mr. Michael Sedgwick, who lived here for many years, can tell you about some of his strange experiences.
My mother and I were sitting in this very room, and one night we heard most heavy, painful sounds of men carrying a burden down the garden. We looked out of the window, there was nothing whatever to see. Then the sounds became closer and more distinct, and there was definitely a suggestion of people digging. Heavy thumps and thuds, and I'm pretty certain the monks must have been reenacting a burial.
And the chanting, did you hear the chanting?
Oh yes, indeed I did. It was way back in December 1959, just before Christmas. I'd been working very late on a manuscript, and about midnight I threw the windows open to try and get rid of some of the smoke in the room. And I heard what was quite definitely chanting. It was coming in uneven waves off the hill opposite the house, rather as if I'd been listening to a radio that was badly tuned in. Well, it didn't seem quite credible, so I switched my own radio on and fiddled around with it for ages, trying to find some station that was putting out a Latin service.
Yeah.
I found nothing.
Yeah.
But I heard afterwards that someone in the village had just died and was to be buried the next day.
Well, the monks were faithful to their accustomed ministry.
That they were. Next day, I ran into Mrs. Day, and she told me she'd been out that very night and had heard the same chanting out in the road. You should have a word with her.
I remember walking home late one evening. It was very late. I just locked off the domus. We'd had a late dance. And I heard chanting in the distance. And it gradually seemed to get a little louder. And it was more like a sort of murmuring, which seemed to come from the bottom part of this lane here, oddly enough, where we are now, and as if it was coming from the abbey there.
Oh, yeah.
It was a wonderful feeling of peace. It seemed to take away all my tiredness after a long day.
How I wish I could hear it. I wonder if I should have the ears to hear.
You may not. Maybe tonight. You'll have to wait till around midnight.
Never mind. We will keep tryst.
After much discussion with the witnesses, we decided upon a vantage point in the center of the cloisters, which more than once had reverberated with the sound of ghostly chanting. As we sat there silently, waiting for the hour to strike, our minds were as one, alert, expectant, hopeful, yet leavened by thoughts traversing centuries, back to the time when men worked and worshipped on this very ground. They say the voices of the monks of Beaulieu Abbey are still raised in glorious song that time cannot silence. As I sat there, thinking of these things, these immortal words of Lord Byron echoed in my mind.
I merely mean to say what Johnson said, that in the course of some 6,000 years, all nations have believed that from the dead a visitant at intervals appears. And what is strangest upon this strange head is that whatever bar the reason rears against this belief, there's something stronger still in its behalf. Let those deny who will. I, for one, choose to believe it.
Now he turns it on. Gotta love the price. I told you. Fantastic, right? Absolutely delightful. 1965. And it's based on the book from 1963, right? And amazing. And Kevin MacLeod again. Dances and Dames. Fits. So there you go. Celebrating a great dame there. And please check that out. That we'll get it up here again. I can do it. If I try, here we go. Right there. This one right here, Blithe Spirit. Note what it says there in the search bar. That's where you find it. It's the Internet Archive, and you can come in here and watch it public for free. I highly recommend you do. Let's catch another second of it, see where it lands. Wait. This is even better. This is just a little montage that the person that put this up did I'm not responsible for this, and it doesn't have a name, or I'd call it out. But I didn't do this. But let's at least watch this few seconds of it, because it's as Ted said, this is a Noel Coward play, and it's been remade so many times. You can look on the internet, so many different movies that came over. They just keep remaking things over and over again. But this is a great version so far of what I've seen. So please go watch it if you're interested. This is just the opening on it. Here we go. Pretty cool. I love the posters, love the art, love it, love it. It's got a little bit about Margaret, if I remember correctly. Miss Dame Rutherford. The opening. There it is. Yep. Rex Harrison, and they're not going to let me play. There we go. All right, so go there and watch it if you're interested. She's an absolute delight, Ted. I totally agree. She's a national treasure. But here's the thing. A totally different way of ghost hunting. Obviously, a special done for NBC, I believe, right, Ted? And for television. Fantastic. I wish we had a lot more stuff like that. What blows my mind is that's very close to the year I was born. And of course, thinking about the decades that have passed and how ghost hunting has changed. But in a lot of ways, it really hasn't. And I forget who said it here in the chat about people, different in different times. But again, I think that's one thing I've learned on this channel. I don't care where you go in history, there are assholes. And there's assholes that pass and stay that way because they decide not to cross and heal and move on to the next level. My thoughts, my theory. A lot of people back that up. A lot of people don't. But anyway, I think it's interesting to look back, and the whole time I'm looking at them, and it's not only the difference between what was going on in the UK, what was going on in the Americas, at the time. I'm looking at how my mom and dad were dressed and how they carried themselves. I can remember around that time, that was when neighborhoods and people were going over each other's house to play bridge, and they had martinis at 4:00. And you can think about like around the Twilight Zone time, around when that was being filmed. This is that era that Kennedy is shot. This era, that's when I was born. And how much has changed over that time in just the paranormal and the supernatural. And I think the more we look back, the more we say it stayed the same, and people are the same. And that was my point about no matter what era you look, people were the same. There was evil, there was good against evil, there was people struggling just to make it, keeping their head down, riding that hamster wheel. However, some just did that all through life, and some people found a way to do that and add the extras in. Stop and smell the roses, enjoy family, enjoy the little things, see the miracles, and then some even add more to that and take that and realize they're light workers, and they're going to take their negative and all the hurt and battles and wars won, a lot of it spiritual, a lot of it really hurt, a lot of it barely made it through. If I ask everybody in this chat to raise their hand and say, if you look back over your life, how many times do you think, if you're being honest, that you shouldn't be here anymore? You shouldn't have got through that, or how the heck did I get out of that one? Everybody's got them, And then everybody's got the ones where you look back and you go, how did I get myself through that? But I came through. And I have scars to prove it. But we didn't let us hold us back. We made it lift us up. And we started getting, the light starts compounding and magnifying. And I think it's because we get more in tune with our energy, and we start realizing our consciousness starts changing, and we look back and we see other people doing the same thing that we saw, we recognize from our own history. And it's painful to watch other people go through that stuff, but they got to do it. You know, we can send light, we can send energy, we send prayers, we can send help, like I said in the beginning. Even asking the other side, hey, is there anything we can do for that guy? I mean, you guys know better than I do, but, you know, he could use some help. And isn't that what prayer is? It's just another way of focusing in and going, come on, I know you guys are out there. I've seen you do it. And that's what we do too when we get together and we look at this. But I think any of us could have jumped right into that time, into that room. I mean, I laugh and it's so odd to look back in my own time, but I think it's so quaint and wonderful, all the different ways they decided to tell their story, and how proper and how together they had, you know, themselves. It's just a whole different, I'm not sure you would have got the same, you know, it depends on where you go. You know, of course, if you went into the Kennedys and the White House at that time, it's not hard to imagine, well, not the Kennedys sitting around the Oval Office talking about the same stuff, but hey, I can attest to the fact that a lot weirder things happen in the Oval Office than a seance, you know. And you know what? Seances too, because Nixon had Jane Dixon in there, and I think I know Reagan did, and so many, and so Lincoln. Oh my gosh, Mary, she was batshit crazy. She just she took it on every level available. Let's not go through that again, because the Lincolns at the White House, boy, there's a lot meat on that bone. But anyway, I digress. I think it's interesting to look back, but one of the number one things I've learned looking back is that people were always humans. You know, they broke under the same weights, and a lot of them wanted the same things, and you know, even just the basics: survival, water, air, the right to get those things and to be able to supply yourself with shelter and take care of your kids and survive with least pain as possible. You know, some happiness along the way. You know, lucky enough to have love. What is that Grandpa Walton said that one time? Life is hard work and love. And if you can smile along the way, you're lucky. You're one of the lucky ones. You know, appreciate it. And I think light workers have learned to appreciate it, and that makes all the difference. Road less traveled, the journey less traveled. You know, it's made all the difference because you paid attention. And that's what it's like to be not only a gatekeeper or a guide or a helper or somebody that's maybe sees one of those people we were talking about earlier that are going through the same mistakes, or even whether it's paranormal investigation or life itself, especially a loved one, and they're going down a painful path and you see it coming. That's the hardest thing about it. You know, you got to say it's their journey. If you can be there for them, all you can do is throw it out there. Sometimes you got to wait till they get through to the other side. We've all done it. That's hard. And then we got to forgive them. They hurt us along the way. It's hard. We got this, though. Some remember, some waves you got to fight, and some you got to float. Some you just ride through. I love y'all. Thanks for spending my birthday with me. Thank you for the kind wishes. Thanks for watching that delightful little film, 1965. The wonderful Dame Margaret Rutherford. And I agree, Ted. She is a national treasure. And thank you for all your input. I appreciate you and my love, honestly, to you. I know how painful things are. You know, I miss Dickens every moment. You know, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Oh, Ted, thank you, sweetie. We appreciate all the support. Listen, don't forget it. If Scott said it, and I thank you for that, Scott. If you haven't got my book, give it a shot. It's available ebook. You can get it in paperback. And don't forget the TeePublic is out there too. Get your crispy t-shirt, crispy mug. Support the channel that way. That way, you know, you're getting something for your money. But we certainly do appreciate the super chats. And Ted Branson, you've always been kind to this channel and a good friend. And thank you for tonight. It was fun having your input. And again, my heart hugs your heart, dear friend. Thank you so much. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. It was a great way to close down the birthday. I appreciate the kindness. And again, if I did not get you, see you in the social media, I promise you I will go back and try again, but I certainly appreciate it. And thank you. There's my PayPal. If you want to do it behind the scenes or you want to toss $1 towards it or you want to go in and support by buying a mug or just going in and commenting, give us a thumbs up, share it with somebody you think that might enjoy this. This little show here was it's not readily available. It's hard to get a good copy because it is, I mean, 1965, right? I'm surprised it was so loud. It came out really clear. I ran it through a couple of sound adjustments, and I can't really take credit for it. I got kind of lucky, but it was kind of loud. I had to keep turning it down, so I hope I didn't blow anybody's ears out. But delightful as promised. I'm sure you enjoyed it. Beautiful scenery, beautiful, almost like a virtual tour of some of these beautiful places. I can't believe you got to see some of it, Ted. I'm so glad you were here. And I'm glad y'all were here. Thanks for coming in tonight. And what's our takeaway? I think any decade you look at, we're all the same. You know, different tech and different clothes and different slang, and it's all pretty much similar no matter in what direction you look at or what decade. We're all still seeking these answers. I think we got a little more tonight. Every time we hear a story, every time we analyze it, every time we talk about it, we learn a little bit more. And I think we come a little bit more at ease with possibilities. And some things we feel pretty darn strong that we're just like, we believe. I believe. And I believe in you guys and the power of light. Don't forget it. I love y'all. We're dancing out of here tonight. This song makes me feel good. And I want to end it with a good vibe. So see you tomorrow night. I'll be here with Steve Stockton. You know, barring divine intervention, we will be here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here, same bat channel. Keep your feet under the covers. Keep your closet door shut, because there are things that go bump in the night. And every decade always has, always will be. Love y'all. Good night.